So today, Life on Record went to Highveld Horse Care unit, and we sat down with Ashley Ness to have a discussion about all the good that Highveld Horse Care unit does in our equine community. I'd really like to thank Tabard Equine for sponsoring today's session. Welcome back to Life on Record. I'm here at Highveld Horse Care unit with Ashley, and we're going to have a talk today about the facilities here, the work they do in the community, and then also some things owners should take into considerations with their horses. So thank you.
Thank you.
It was a long drive.
Shame, sorry.
It's actually not that far, and I would say to anyone that does want to support the unit, it really isn't on the highway. I think we made it in just over an hour.
Okay.
So
but it's worth the drive.
it's worth the drive. It's a
nice
beautiful setup.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about you and how you got involved with the unit.
So it totally wasn't planned. I did always want to work with horses. It wasn't welfare though. And yeah, somehow I was in corporate first and I hated it. I really hated every minute of it. And then an ad came up for an inspector here at the unit and I applied, and well, it's been 17 years.
Wow. Okay, so quite some time.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a bit about the unit. Don't worry.
Sorry.
There's a camera. Tell us a bit about the unit. So how long has the unit operated for?
So the unit's been in existence since 1989. And it's really just grown from there. Bev Seaborn started it. And yeah, I must say we are doing like great things.
So tell us, obviously we're here at the facility, and you've got a large number of horses in here. But what other work do you do within the communities? I know you've got outreach programs.
Yes, so we do outreach programs, and then we'll also have bit drives, blanket drives, whatever the need is. Like now it's winter, so we're asking for blankets. And then here at the unit, we also offer grooms courses, farriers courses, first aid, and we also offer a service where, you know, we will teach people's grooms. They can drop them off here, and yeah, we will show them the ropes of how to take care of their owners' horses.
And so then, obviously, other than the drives, what are you doing actively in the communities at the moment? Because I think you do quite a lot of work with Orange Farm.
Yes. So education always, and harness repairs we do. We also teach them on correct harnessing. I must say, of late, we don't really have as many wounds as in the past, and I do think that that's down to the education. Basic wounds are treated. Obviously, we teach the owners what not to do, you know, with the harness. The harnessing basically is what causes the wounds. So there's that, and it's an ongoing daily thing.
The majority of horses sort of in Orange Farm and that they're used for work.
They are working horses. They earn their owners an income.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's always an important thing to consider, that they are, you know,
they're bread and butter.
Yeah.
So now winter is approaching, so the coal yards will be very busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the majority are sort of doing coal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And any sort of specific breeds that you tend to see?
Mostly your crosses, which are your tougher type. They know not to use thoroughbreds. There was a stage where there were quite a few Arabs that we found, and you know, we teach them they are not strong enough. They're just far too fine boned, and yeah, so they almost go through stages. There was a lot of Appaloosas at a stage, but generally it's your farm horses, if I can call them that.
Mixed breeds.
Yeah. The only thing, we did lose a lot of horses in the townships now due to AHS.
Yeah.
And the only problem that we have is they will buy horses that are too young.
Okay.
So we advise that they not be carted before age 3.5 minimum. So that is a problem, because obviously foals are cheaper to buy. So that is an ongoing problem that we are having, unfortunately.
So other than the education sort of stuff you do here at the facility, what sort of happens with the horses here?
So
quite a long open question.
Yeah. So we do have a registered clinic.
Okay.
Here. So we do hospitalize, and it's not just township horses. There are, if anybody out there has a problem or they can't afford a vet, but the horse is like really sick or injured, we will assist them.
Okay.
We will make a plan to help them. And a lot of people don't know that about us, but we do actually assist where we can.
So I think that's a really, really good thing for people to know. Yes. I think times financially are getting tough.
We don't just confiscate horses.
Yeah. Very true. So on that aspect, obviously, you know, everyone always is aware of horses being confiscated, or maybe not always actually aware. Generally, I think only when it blows up in social media land. But how does that process work? Because I think a lot of people have misunderstandings of how you're able to confiscate a horse, or maybe just talk us through the process of, I think first, how does someone report it to you? And then what steps you take and how the process goes.
Okay, so we take each case on its merit, but we'll start as where it gets reported to us. So people can contact us on our 24-hour emergency line, or they can pop us an email with an address, good description, photographs if possible, and then a pin location. That always comes in handy as well if they can.
Yeah.
And then depending on the situation, we always look for cooperation from owners first. We will advise and educate. We will prefer, obviously, that they take our advice. We do a follow-up to see whether things have improved, that they are actually doing what we've asked. Sorry. And confiscation is really our last resort, if I can say that.
So obviously, if you've gone to an owner, you've advised them, the situation's now become untenable. What is the steps to confiscate the horse?
So we always work within the law.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the evidence gathered over time, we obtain a court order.
So it is a court order.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the inspectors are authorized by a magistrate to work in a particular area, and then yes, we would apply for a court order if that horse is in real need of rescuing. But there are there are circumstances where, I don't know how to put it, where horses do need removing straight away. That's why I say we take each case on its own merit. Yeah.
So how long does it take to sort of get a court order?
It depends on how badly the horse needs assistance, or horses. Yeah. How compromised is that horse's welfare? And it's not just about taking the horse because now it's in a dire situation. We will also remove a horse to prevent further suffering. So people don't always realize that, but you know, when we can see that the situation is going nowhere slowly, we will unfortunately have to remove that horse.
And then once a horse comes here to the unit, what sort of process do you go through?
Okay, so we'll first get a report from our vet.
Okay.
You know, which would basically substantiate why the horse was removed. We can lay charges. We are fully in our right to do so. We work under the Criminal Procedures Act, so people are charged criminally for animal cruelty. It goes to court. The cases do get dragged out often for a long time, unfortunately, or we will ask that person to maybe rather surrender the horse to us to avoid criminal charges and costs of us having to keep the horse.
So if a horse is surrendered to you by a person, is there, I want to say, any form of injunction that goes against them owning animals again, or is that the end of the process? I know it's quite a challenging area.
So that ruling would have to be made by a magistrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they come to the unit, they're assessed by your vet, and then
we'll do all the necessary hooves, dental. Obviously, if they're very emaciated, it's a very slow
long process.
Yes, and you have to be very careful. But yeah, we will rehabilitate them if they are beyond rehabilitation, and our veterinarian recommends humane euthanasia. That's what we'll do.
Okay. And then how does your rehoming program work?
So if people want to adopt a horse from us, we have a adoption application, which gives us an idea of what type of a equine they're looking for. Do they want to jump? Do they want to do dressage, just pleasure riding? And then we do have Monique that works for us. She does the rehoming. We do a pre-home inspection first.
Okay.
Because it doesn't help people come try a horse, they're in love with it, and then their facilities are not suitable. So we prefer thoroughbreds have to have a stable, safe fencing and paddocks. So we have our criteria that has to be met. So we'll do a pre-home inspection first, and then if it passes, when it passes, then they can come and try the horse out. Monique will match them with the horse, with the person's ability of what they want to do. And then there is an adoption fee, which also varies from, horse to horse. But your basic thoroughbred off the track is 4.5.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's how.
And then those horses have obviously had everything put into them, and the schooling and all of that.
Well, not necessarily. The people that adopt a horse off the track needs to be capable to put in the schooling and the work and all of that goes with it. So we wouldn't rehome a thoroughbred off the track to a beginner.
Yes.
Okay.
Very sensible.
Yeah.
Very sensible.
Yeah.
So then once you've adopted the horse, how long do you keep it for? I'm presuming they can't be sold on?
No, they can't. So to all means and purposes, it's your horse. You take it to shows. You can, do whatever discipline you want with it. Obviously, all the vet bills, your insurance, all of that is for your account.
Yeah.
The horse may not be moved without our consent, though. So if you do wish to move to another yard, we need to do a pre-home inspection first. We generally don't let horses go to a yard that we've experienced problems with. So it's basically your horse.
Yours.
We do post-home checks from time to time, mostly unannounced, because then we get to see how it is. But I must say, we have few comebacks.
Okay, that's good to hear. And how many horses do you think you rehome on average a year?
I don't know per year, but I know Monique has been rehoming since after lockdown. So what was that, 2020?
Well, which part of lockdown? It was a while.
Yeah. But she's rehomed close to 500.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite a lot.
That's a staggering number, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
So how does the unit fund itself? I think that's always
So we do have sponsors, and then we are funded by donations from the public.
So basically the public can donate to you, but I also know you've got your sitting next to a sign that says second chance tax shop. Leading question.
Yeah. So yes, we have our tax shop. People donate tax to us, but they can donate in various ways. Dewormers, fly spray, anything like that. Debit orders. They can also
do you have a loyalty program sort of with a debit order?
I'll speak to Jane about that. Okay. We do have the My School card.
Okay.
Yes. And then they can also donate to mid-feeds into our feed account.
Okay.
Or they can donate feed if they want to come and visit us and bring food. So yeah, there's a lot of ways.
Oh no, that's fantastic. And how many people are sort of employed by the unit?
Sure.
A lot.
Sure, I'm just trying to think. So currently on the inspectorate side is only me at this stage. And then we do have our outreach inspectors. I think there's 5 of them. Yeah, to be honest with you, including our grooms, I'm really not sure. Okay.
But you've got a lot of horses to look after here. We had a lovely wander around slightly together. I found a foal. Oops.
You see, now you know why it's easy for us to rehome horses.
Yeah, it's a Barbie pony. It will fit in the back of the car on the way.
He's pretty.
So obviously we've spoken about the reporting and that, but then, and I touched briefly on sort of the euthanasia point. I mean, is there any advice you can give to people who are reaching that point and any things they should consider? Because obviously none of us want anything bad to ever happen to our horses, but obviously accidents do happen and those factors have to be considered. But also when you have older horses, and we all, I think, desperately would love to retire our horses with us forever. But at what point should people consider that as an option?
I think when the horse's quality of life is compromised. You know, older horses that are arthritic with old injuries battle to get up.
Yeah.
You know, I think often people are a little bit selfish for their own sentimental value, and you know, there's all of that, and then at the end of the day they're not doing that horse a favor.
Yeah. And so in terms of that, sort of leading on to that, when people decide to retire horses, and obviously I think financially we are getting tighter and tighter. You know, I know the grass prices are not easy. They weren't great at the end of last season.
Exactly.
And this season's not looking good. But when it comes to retiring horses, a lot of people seem to prefer the option of sending horses away to a farm, to a friend, to rehome, to become a companion horse. Because again, you're keeping a horse at Joburg side, you're in for 8,000 to 12,000 rand a month. But what considerations should people bear in mind when it comes time to retire and or rehome?
I think in essence, when people say, oh, they're sending the horse to a farm to live out its years, and it sounds lovely, but you know, they need to really, really do their homework.
Okay.
Go and see the farm.
Yeah.
Is there daily care, daily feed? You know, older horses require extra
more
food
than everything else.
They're actually more expensive to keep than your younger horse. You know, they probably need the dentist every 6 months or 3 months, depending.
Yeah.
So there's so many factors to consider, and go and visit your horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though it may be far, go and visit, go and see for yourself. Arrive unexpectedly. That's when you're going to see how it really is and what is going on exactly. You know, and for a horse to just be let out in the field on a farm,
I think we all have this spirit staying in the Cimarron vision of them cantering.
You know, also depending where they go, but there's no nutrition in the grass. Mostly in the Highvelds anyway. So there's so many factors to consider, but don't just send your horse somewhere and expect or believe that everything's going to be super wonderful. You know what I'm saying? So an older horse with all the injuries, they probably need supplements extra. They need, you know, I don't know, extra anti-inflammatories, whatever it may be. So do your homework.
No, I think that's a very, very true sentiment, that you've got to pay diligence to that.
You know, and I know it sounds harsh sometimes when I say to people there's worse things than dying. But being starved, being abused, that's worse. That's worse than being humanely put to sleep.
And I think that there's a lot of instances where I've seen where people have retired horses and sent them to someone to retire, and the horse lands up getting used in a riding school or as a hack horse around someone's farm, and it's not fit for that, unfortunately. And I think it's a very sad, undignified end sometimes.
Absolutely. You know, when people have a horse, especially, they feel that it needs to earn its keep. If I can say that. Not everybody can afford to just keep a paddock ornament. So you got to do right by that horse. It's giving you everything, you know, throughout the time that you've owned it.
And I think it's also doing right by yourself.
Exactly.
That long term you can live with your decisions.
I mean, and you know where your horse is.
So I keep watching my fall.
Still here.
Still here. Are there horses that you keep here permanently that are not suitable to be rehomed?
So unfortunately, we're not a sanctuary. However, we do have Stevie and Silver. our 2 donkeys, they're permanent residents.
Why not a llama?
Stevie's also been here for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Your foal just got shocked. Sorry.
We will add a photo of the foal.
And then we have Jacob,
Okay.
our Percheron that
Oh, your
I
big
can't
boy.
say replaced Alfie, but
Yes.
he's our current mascot, yes.
And he went to Horse of the Year.
Jacob hasn't. No.
Jacob hasn't yet.
We've
Okay.
taken him to a few places, but we haven't taken him to Horse of the Year, no. Alfie we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
With his lovely turnout.
Yes.
And
Yes, and he did really well. Yeah. Yes, we competed him. It was lovely.
There was something I was going to ask. Now it's
Distracted by the shot.
No, don't worry. So to that point, you're not a sanctuary. So unfortunately, these decisions have to get made. Oh, that was the question I want to ask. When you've confiscated horses and the court case is going on, do you have to keep the horse here at the unit until the case is concluded?
Usually, yes,
Okay.
or we can foster it out.
Okay.
For that time.
Because obviously, if it's a lengthy procedure, I mean, you could be
Yes.
sitting with horses here for.
I remember in the past, we used to have horses here for 4 years, 5 years. So, and I mean, they cost a lot to
And then-
feed and, yeah.
Can you recoup anything from the owners you've confiscated from? I know it's a bit of a
We have been awarded costs
cost.
in the past.
That's the word I was
Yes.
looking for. Sorry, Louis.
We have been awarded costs in the past, yes.
And that then helps just to keep funding the work that you guys are doing.
Yes.
So you've been an inspector for a long time. Do you have any memorable stories on, finding yourself
Wow.
in a creek at 2 a.m. in the morning,
Fortunately not
fishing
that.
a donkey out?
Fortunately not that. There's so many that we often sit and have laughs and say, oh, remember that day there and there. So yes, I've been locked in a property for a day. And yeah, to think of them and actually like things that happen at the time when, you are desperate to get these horses loaded, and there'll always be that one. There'll always be that one.
Jade's gonna buy the blue for real.
You're not coming back. Full shocked, falling off the chairs. And you didn't sign an indemnity. So yeah, there's been that, and then one will go and the rest will follow, and yeah, I mean we've done a lot of weird and wonderful things, but at the end of the day we can laugh about it. But yeah, at the time it's quite nerve-wracking.
So other than the My School, and obviously you're doing a blanket drive now.
We are.
So if someone has blankets that they'd like to donate,
Yes.
where can they donate
So
them?
we have drop-off points at Western Shop
Okay.
and Midfeeds and Stablegate in Benoni and Uncle Tim's
Okay, that's in the East End as well.
and the East
Yeah.
End as well, yes.
Okay, so
they
people can
it
drop
off
in there.
and just mark it clearly for Highveld.
Okay, perfect. And then obviously then as you said, they can donate via the feed shops,
Yes.
and with the My School card, and then you do accept straight up donations.
Donations we do, and our banking details are on our Facebook page.
So I think one of the things that we've had as a very big take-home message, and we have spoken about it, is you have a great desire that people report to you directly
Yes.
before spreading the word of a situation or a problem. And I think mainly from two aspects. One, that an owner whose horses are in a state of neglect, to use that as an example, may try and rectify the problem.
That ties our hands.
And that will tie your
Yes,
hands to
does.
do it. And I think obviously, and then from a legal standpoint, it can also muddy the waters if it hasn't come directly to you and there's
It can.
been a sort of outcry on social media.
Exactly that. So, as I say, it can muddy the waters in terms of a dire situation. I know people often feel very sorry for the horse and there's no grass, and then they go throw grass over the wall. For instance, we arrive, the horse has
grass.
food. Also, the risk of that is that horse is starving. Someone's just thrown a bale of lucerne over and the horse colics. So, there's a lot of things to consider. reporting a problem to us directly is always favorable. Also, people that report to us, we never ever reveal our source of information. People can speculate, but we will never confirm or deny or say who it is that's actually reported to us. But yes, the social media is not a favorable option.
So I think it's a good take-home message, and I think obviously, as we all know, the equestrian world is under fire with a lot of vitriol on a lot of platforms. And I do understand. I think a lot of people are doing things for the benefit of the horse and to expose situations. But I think, unfortunately, you just then land up with a lot of hot air and a situation that's not being solved because the correct channels aren't doing what they need to do.
Absolutely.
So I think take home, if you do see an issue, if you do have a problem, obviously if it's a welfare issue, it can get reported to you as well as an abuse.
Yes.
But there is also the SAF safeguarding platform
Yes.
that issues can be reported on as well. So if you do see something, report it first and go from there. So you have a hike coming up this weekend.
We do on Sunday at Rosemary Hill. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be lovely. Yes, so
how far do you have to walk? That's my... Can I bring a pony?
Not far. I don't know about the pony, but it's not far.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and the proceeds are being raised for Highveld Horse Care.
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I think it's a great opportunity to show your support. And I'd really recommend to anyone, come through here, have a look at the facilities. I think the work you guys do is amazing. I think sometimes you get a lot of flack probably for not intervening sooner, but I think that's important to where we discussed today, that there is a process and there is an education process.
Yes, and we have to work within the law.
That has to happen. So if anyone does have any issues, obviously please report them. You know, I think that's the main thing. And I think, to your point, education is utterly key. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.